And obviously, while we were at camp, a big portion of what we got to do there was hear about this guy Jesus, right? And I think a lot of you guys have been involved in Young Life for a long time, and so a lot of these stories aren't really new, and they're not, you've heard them before and that kind of thing. And some of you guys have decided, yeah, you know what? I think that this Jesus guy actually has something to speak to my own heart and to my own life, and you've kind of taken that leap and said, you know what? I'm gonna trust in him. I'm gonna have faith in him, and see what that see how that affects my life. And some of you guys still haven't, and that's okay. But for those of you guys that haven't, I wanted to speak to you guys too a little bit, and just, I think for all of us, it's really difficult for us to place our trust in something outside of ourselves. Would you guys agree with that? Whether that's other people or, whatever. We want to kind of maintain control of our own lives, right? And I know that's definitely true in my life for sure. And there's actually a guy that Jesus interacts with who I think we could probably learn a little bit from, because he had a similar situation. And he's very much like us in that he was a well-off guy. He was rich. And I know some of us may not consider ourselves very well-off, but who has a cell phone here? Yeah, whose family has at least one car? Do you guys all have a roof over your heads at night? Yeah? Okay, sweet. So that makes you richer than about 90% of the world. So we are rich, definitely. So this guy was rich, and he was asking a question that I think a lot of us ask in life, and that is, what is the best way to live my life? How can I get the most out of this life? While I'm breathing, while I'm walking around, before I become just dirt in the ground, how can I get the most out of this life? And this guy had the same question, this rich guy, and he comes up to Jesus, and he actually asks him this. He's like, he calls him teacher. What must I do to inherit this eternal life, or this good life, this abundant life? And Jesus says, well, there's a couple of good rules to live by. Probably you shouldn't murder. Probably you shouldn't lie. You shouldn't cheat. You should honor your parents, and you should love your neighbor as yourself. And I think most of us would agree that, okay, yeah, those are probably pretty good guidelines for living a good life, right? I personally don't want to be murdered, so if I don't murder someone else, then hopefully they'll return the favor. So he says this to the guy, and he's like, okay, sweet, well, all of those things I've done since I was little. I've got those covered, I've been a good guy, I don't really have to worry about it. Is there, there's got to be something else, right? Is there more to this life than just that? Just being a good guy? And Jesus says, yeah, actually. He says, there's one thing that you're lacking. And this is what he says. Jesus says, go and sell everything you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come and follow me. So that's kind of intense. And at this, the man's face fell. He went away sad because he had great wealth. So, two things that kind of strike me from this story. The first is that Jesus is saying, there's some general good guidelines to live your life by that I think all of us would probably agree are good things. Generally just being a good person. But then Jesus takes it a step further, and he says, you know what? If you want to get the most out of this life, you have to be willing to trust me. And what he basically asked this guy to do was to trust him with the thing that meant the most to him, right? Which was his wealth, his money, his security. And he also said, I want your heart, basically, because this guy, his heart was attached to his wealth. And for you guys, and for me too, I think, like I said, it's easy for us to kind of place our security or our trust in different things, like our wealth or our good looks or our popularity, or even other friends, which isn't bad at all. But what Jesus is saying is, the only thing that you should really place your trust in is me, and that's difficult for us. And this guy, he wasn't ready. He was like, that's just too much. I can't give that. I can't give that up. And so we walked away. And I think a lot of us are similar in that we kind of come face to face, and maybe for a lot of you guys, you've heard these stories a lot, and you've come to Young Life a lot, and you kind of heard these stories. Maybe at different points you've even heard God kind of pricking your heart and saying, you know what, I want you to trust me. I want you to let go of control. I want you to give up those things that are tying you down and trust me. And we've kind of danced around it and we've said, no thanks. and we've walked away, and that's okay. Like, the thing is, Jesus doesn't run after him, and he's like, no, like, come back, please. He lets him walk away, and Jesus will let you walk away if that's what you choose, and that's totally cool. And we're gonna still, love you guys, and all of us leaders, like, we're happy with who you guys are and what decisions you make, but I just really want to encourage you to really give this some serious consideration, because I really believe that trusting our lives to God, it's the most adventurous, it's the best way to live your life, and it's hard, it's scary. I'm going to be honest with you. In my own life, even right now, I'm having a difficult time trusting God, because I had to say goodbye to the most amazing man I've ever met in my entire life earlier this summer. And if you guys want to know that story, I can tell you later. But just trusting that God has a plan and a purpose for my life, and that His ways are better than my ways. It's difficult, and I find myself wrestling with that even now. But I can, just from my own experience, I can tell you that choosing to let go of that control, choosing to entrust your life over to the only person in the world who will never fail you, and that is Jesus, that is a risk that's worth taking, and that is that's a place where we can feel like our trust is going to be safe, is with Him. So I just wanted to close by giving you guys this verse that is in Proverbs 3, which is another book in the Bible, and it basically says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. I'll read that one more time. It says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. I just encourage you guys. I know you've heard a lot at Rockridge, and you've heard a lot from us all year long, but really just please give this some consideration, because we wouldn't be here if we didn't believe that this would be something that trusting God is the best way to live your life. And He's worth it, and He's safe, and actually it's very dangerous, but we can trust Him. Will you guys pray with me real quick?